All right. I see Eric. I see Airlim. Or okay. I also see the ratings from last week, so I got to turn all of those off here. So yeah, images looks good. Everyone is sounding. No one is echoing.
Ooh.
Yay, technology. How are you guys doing?
It's another wonderful week.
Yeah.
It's been a week.
Yeah, but it's over now. This week, I ended up having to go into the office a couple of days this week unexpectedly, and that was it wasn't bad. It was just not how I wanted to spend my days.
Right. But we're here, and this is the favorite way to end the week, at least for me, the work week.
Yeah.
Because I do this right after work, and I'm like, all right, Star Trek.
Thursday and Friday are probably my favorite days of the week now, because Thursday we get Star Trek. Thursday night, Friday we get The Mandalorian, which has also been on point for the past few episodes. So like, we're just like getting inundated with tons of good sci-fi stuff. And the Animaniacs came back yesterday.
Oh, I cannot wait to start watching that. Like, over at C2E2, this past C2E2 or the C2E2 before, we actually, me and my wife actually attended like an Animaniacs panel, and just to hear like Rob Paulsen talk about everything was amazing. And that's the first time I heard about the reboot, or the relaunch or whatever. And so we just started watching like a ton of Animaniacs because Teresa never saw a lot of it. So my God, some of the jokes hit really hard when you're an adult. You're like,
oh yeah,
how did they get away with all of this?
I watched the first episode. I also edited some interviews with Rob Paulsen and Jess and Maurice LaMarche. Excuse me. The other day for Screen Rant, and just like listening to them talk about it, and listening to the new showrunners talk about how they had to tone down some of the jokes and bits that they used to do in the 90s because they couldn't get away with it today, made me go back and like rewatch some of like at least one of the old episodes. I was like, oh yeah, this is not like it worked back then, but no way would it go over now.
No way. But hey, Star Trek.
Yeah. So this week's episode was called Scavengers and saw the return of Book, who has been missing for 2 episodes now, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the one episode that really frustrated and made me just go, ah!
Really?
But we'll save it for when we get into it, because like
Mark has some things to talk about.
Yeah.
No, just get into it, man.
Yeah. Let's go.
So Neelix came back. No, I'm joking.
No, oh God.
No. I got very frustrated at Michael in this because the whole thing is like they're trying to get the Federation, and they've said it like, yes, let's get the Federation together. We've got to listen to the Admiral. We've got to do this. We've got to pull rank. But it feels that every time that Michael wants to go gallivanting or she wants to do something herself, it drops, and it's like, I don't care about the Federation. I'm doing what I want to do. And then when Saru's like, look, they've got to trust us. They know literally nothing about us, and we're building their trust. She's like, yeah, I can see that point, but bye. And you're just like, and
no, I get it, but like for me, at least, like thinking about it, because she's been away from them for like a year, and when she's living this kind of like gallivanting life of being like almost a smuggler, essentially, trying to like ease back into the Starfleet role. But she even mentioned in this episode, everything she's doing for the Federation, she's doing everything she can. And I think also her personal feelings for Book may have clouded her judgment in this instance. But I get what you're saying. But the thing was, what I liked, and I know we're totally skipping around, but I like that the Admiral even dressed down Saru. Like, look, Burnham actually had a point. This could have given us some valuable intelligence. You should have told me anyway. And so I kind of like how they both got the short end of the stick.
I mean, I like that. I think it was just more, but I think one of the biggest things I did like about that was that there was a punishment, and I like that.
Yes.
Because I generally thought if Saru was just like, if I allow if you do this one more time, then there'll be consequences. I was like, oh, I'm glad they did not say that. I was just like, oh, thank God. So there was like a punishment, and I really wanted him to add in, go like, yeah, I've chosen Tilly to be my first officer. Oh, they're gone.
I was waiting for her to get a promotion in this episode because of that. Because obviously Saru values her opinion and knows that she is good at what she does, and went to her about the issue with Michael, who is like 7 ranks above her. So it was interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in the next couple of episodes, where she's promoted from ensign to at least like a lieutenant junior grade, or whatever the next step up from that would be. But no, I also feel kind of the same way about Michael, because this was an issue that we've had in the past, and it had seemed like we had gotten past it, but now it kind of feels like they're rehashing that same storyline over again, and I don't want that to become a focus. If it's just this one, okay, cool, she's fucking up, she's been punished for it, and now she's going to learn from that mistake. Great, but if it's a recurring theme, unless it goes further, if it's written right, I'll be fine with it. But if it becomes just like a cliche, oh, Michael's just going to do her own thing just to do her own thing, so that we have conflict, then it's going to get old, I think, kind of quickly.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, because, you know, I wouldn't want her to like regress to the point where she was in the first season. Like, hey, I just caused an intergalactic war kind of a thing. So, yeah, like, I think it's a small step back for her, but I agree with you, Mark. I'm glad that there was repercussions from this. And it'll be interesting to see who Saru promotes to first officer. And I think it might be Lieutenant Nielsen.
That would make sense. I mean, they have been giving her a lot
like more
screen
con
time.
duties. Yeah.
So I could see that. It's not going to be Linus.
He was hilarious.
I loved that. Detmer, probably not.
No.
And then there's really no one else that I can think of that would fit there, because I mean Stamets is going to do what Stamets does. I don't think he's
in engineering.
Yeah, he wouldn't really be in line for that. Culber obviously is the doctor, so he's kind of out. So I you might be right. I think Nielsen is probably, unless they get a random insert from Starfleet, like a new character.
Now that would be interesting because they've been working with that Lieutenant Willa for the past couple of episodes. It would be interesting if she was more like a liaison between the Discovery and Starfleet.
Yeah. Speaking of Willa, she had a big moment at the beginning of this episode with showing off all the new technology that Discovery has gotten, which I am so glad that they did that. And that they didn't just say, okay, well, now you're in the future. You got to deal with what you've got.
No, I was actually surprised at how quickly this came about. But I was happy for it, because it makes sense. Like, as soon as they got here, you know, you want to make them a valuable member of the Federation and of Starfleet. And you can't fight the ships that they're going to be fighting with 23rd century technology. It's just not going to work.
Right. Well, that, and I also, at the same time, I also like that they're not afraid to do like small time jumps either. Because like obviously between the first episode of the season and the end of the second episode, there was a year-long gap there, which made sense for that story. But
now it's like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, on a smaller scale, just we've been here for 3 weeks now. We've been going on missions. We've been helping out, and now we're finally done with our refit. I thought that was a really good way to kind of start, because now we know going forward. Okay, cool. this episode doesn't necessarily pick up immediately where the last one
Mm-hmm.
left off. There could be a few days or a couple of weeks or even maybe a month or so in between where they are.
Also, I think they did it because, technically they're still criminals from like the Temporal Accord.
Right.
So updating the ship and saying, oh, this is the Discovery A. This is a new discovery that we brought back. Kind of hides that from the rest of the fleet because not all of the other captains knew about Discovery.
Right. Now, do you think renaming it the Discovery A what was to hide its origins? Because typically, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be wrong about this, you might be able to answer this question better. When they reissue a ship with a new letter designation, it's typically a brand new ship, isn't it? Not just a refit.
It's either, well, in the case of the Enterprise A, it was because it was a new ship, but it was also like it was the same. It was like the same upgrade,
right?
But yeah, I mean, if it could be a replacement ship, but if a ship goes through enough of a change structurally and technologically, they can still upgrade an old ship and, if it's changed enough, slap a new designation on it.
Now I'm also interested to see what the toys for the new Discoveries are going to look like. Like,
how are they even going to do that with the
with the detached nacelles? Yeah, that'd be like a couple of like clear rods or something, maybe holding them up.
Yeah,
and like that. That's I don't know that I fully understand the purpose of the detached nacelles. Like, I get the maneuverability thing, but it seems like if they were like you've seen on like high-end sports cars, they have the spoiler that goes up or down and changes angles depending on how fast it's going. That would almost make a little bit more sense to me than this would, because with them being detached, does that mean that they could be like easily flung off if they get hit by something?
That's exactly what I was thinking when they were talking about Voyage, like detaching the cells. I was like, but what happens if like it gets hit or gets knocked or someone activates a tractor beam and just pulls it away? So I didn't know if they were just going to fling off, but then I would kind of imagine that if they went into battle, they would then attach back, so it could just literally be within the warp bubble that they go a lot faster. But then when they go into battle, like say Voyager, that always like they go down when fighting, they don't stay up. So I generally kind of thought that in my head.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because I think it's just like an updated concept of what Voyager had, where they would just move depending on if they were in the warp field or not. And I'm glad that they actually showed a close-up, because it looked like some kind of either magnetic field or some kind of...
Well,
so
I think that was
still attach.
The programmable matter.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Which they also now have in all the consoles on the ship.
I loved Awosha-kun's reaction to that. She's just like, "Oh, this is cool."
Well, and even like everyone's, because like Detmer was like, "Is this really necessary?" And then I can never remember the other guy's name.
Bryce.
Bryce, who was like, "Yeah,
like, hell yeah, it is." I love that. I was cracking up with that.
Like that's one of the things that I love about these shows. It's just seeing their wonderment at the new technology or different cultures or whatever it is. It's almost like, because to me that's what I liked about like the Indiana Jones series, was Indiana Jones gets himself into these things, he finds these things, and he's just amazed at what he's seeing. And I feel like that's at its heart, to me, that's kind of what Star Trek is just this sense of wonderment about the future and technology and different cultures and just learning about new things. So seeing the crew be able to do that in real time was really cool.
Yeah, and one of the really great things that I saw when I watched the Ready Room, they did another segment on the props, and they were talking about the badges. And so when Willa demonstrated like the different hand motions, the prop master was kind of walking through like one press of the badge would like bring up the teleportation transporter menu. And then he said that the double tap is either your previous location, or you can set like a home designation to beam to.
Which is why Linus just kept double tapping to take him back to where he was before.
Exactly.
So when they were doing the badge thing, from a visual graphics point of view, I was imagining the guys going, "Oh God, please don't use this feature. This costs us like $10,000 each time we use this. Oh God, there's like 5 of them using it. Ah!" I love the fact that they have like tricorder. Like everything is in one now.
Right.
So I absolutely love that sort of progression. And I reckon like we don't want to build more tricorders. Frick that. We'll just literally have it. Soon you'll have a phaser in the badge, we just go tap 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 and just shoots out multiple times.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get into the story a little bit more. So we've already talked about Michael kind of going off and doing her own thing, but how did you feel about the structure of this episode? Because I felt like we were kind of going back to this one big main storyline, and then just slightly smaller, like incremental storylines happening all over the ship at one time as well.
Well, when I first watched the episode last night, I was kind of surprised, like after they saved Book, and I was just kind of checking the timestamp. I'm like, whoa, we still got like 19 minutes left in this episode. And so I'm glad that they shifted back to Discovery, because I really like the moments between Stamets and Adira, because you find out that they're such similar characters in terms of what they've been through. And him with Paul Stamets with Culber, like when they were kind of discussing everything at the end of the day, and him coming to realize, oh wait, she's like a young me in what she's going through. And I thought those were some really great scenes.
Yeah, and it really, like, everything between him and Adira this episode, and between him and Culber this episode, really showed that his character has grown significantly from season 1. Because previously he, like, even with Jet, you know, his demeanor changes a little bit, but with everyone else, he's become a lot softer than he had been, and I think that's good. That's good for him, and that's really good for the story progression of where his character is going to go.
Yeah.
So now, what about? I guess let's talk about Michael and Book and everything that happened, and Georgiou.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What do you think is actually happening to her? Because I'm 99% positive that whatever she's going through is due to whatever Cronenberg did to her.
It has to be. It has to be. Because that was the only time that it was triggered. She's been in the main universe now for probably more than a year at this point.
Around about 900 odd years, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, in like her subjective time,
yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, if this was some kind of psychological or trauma issue, I think this would have manifested a lot sooner than what's happening now. And it all started with Cronenberg's character. So what's the deal? There's some kind of mystery there.
Right, because we left his discussion with her, and then ended on her just kind of like staring off and zoning out in the middle of one of the walkways on the ship. So I don't think we're supposed to believe that it's anything other than something that he did to her.
Right.
I have a feeling that it's in a way kind of resetting her, so she goes back to her old ways. Because when you saw the flashbacks, you saw how maybe she became that hard, like either a death of a friend, child, or lover, whatever.
I think she said son.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. I think it might actually be the opposite. Like I think she might be becoming more human, rather and leaving the Terran like ideologies behind, because Cronenberg, I don't know what his character's name was.
Kovich. They didn't say it in the episode, but the credits said Kovich.
So he he specifically mentioned something about Terran DNA having something that predisposed them to being only out for themselves, and
Right.
she's now starting to show that she actually cares a little bit more, in a slightly in a slightly different way than humans do, but it's interesting to see her actually change as a character too.
Mm-hmm. And I really like the interaction between her and Burnham. Even Burnham opening up a little bit and kind of like teasing with her when they were on the ship and, talking about, ooh, Book is your boyfriend and like all that stuff. And she's like, I'm going to smack you. Let's go. But she was saying it in a playful way. So no, it's great to see their relationship. But at the end of the episode, when Georgiou turned that around and like, yeah, my Michael gave me that same look, and she ended up betraying me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like turning, like almost like pushing away any development that they had.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm really interested in seeing where that goes. Do you think Book's going to be around more often now?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they kissed in the turbo lift.
when Linus popped in on them, when Linus popped in on them, I thought that was going to be it. I thought they were going to be like, okay, and then just go on their ways.
Yeah,
but I'm glad that it didn't go that route. That they were like,
yeah,
okay,
the whole
now he's gone.
Teresa was like, ooh, they're gonna kiss, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. The Linus thing happened. I'm like, well, that moment passed, and then they fully went in on it, and we were both like, ah.
So on the planet, did we get a name for the planet they went to?
It's Hunan or something.
Okay, and this was this.
Hanau.
Okay, and was this part of the Emerald? The
Emerald. Yep.
Yeah. So, do you think we're going to see the ants of the guy who was killed?
Osira.
Osira, yeah. Or Osirin?
This is no, it's Osira.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the second time that she's been name dropped. The first time was Admiral Vance when they first met up with him, because he kind of made an offhanded comment about Osira when they first contacted the Federation. So, yeah, I think they're setting up for her to be this like big bad for the season.
Right.
But yeah, I think if they're gonna do that, I don't want it to be so obvious, like, oh, the Orions caused the burn. Like, I don't want that to be the most obvious thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I think that's what would happen. I think it's going to, like, personally, I think it's going to end up being something that someone in the Federation did. Because we learned in this episode that there was an origin point for it, that it's not something that happened all at one time, that these ships all exploded at different intervals, and it was more like a wave that spread out from this one point. So I'm willing to bet that if it wasn't the Federation or someone at the Federation or some sort of a scientist within the Federation Union, or whatever, that it may have been either the Klingons or the Romulans or someone that it wasn't necessarily on purpose that it happened.
Well, I almost want to tie it in to Voyager, because Voyager dealt with that episode with the Omega molecule.
Right.
And we found out that, that can destabilize most of subspace, which would make dilithium useless. So if someone kept experimenting with that technology and create a weapon for it to target dilithium, then that would make sense, like, to tie it in that way. I think that would be brilliant if they did that. But then it's like, well, who's the a-hole that, messed up warp drive for everyone?
Right, right. I mean, I would even be down with it being someone like, what was it, species 8377?
8472.
8472.
Oh,
Because
bringing them in.
they lived in subspace, didn't they?
They lived in a fluidic dimension, so they were in a different dimension entirely.
Okay.
Which would be rather interesting if they dealt with some kind of extra dimensional or maybe a species from another galaxy.
What if, and just spitballing here, what if it was the
Sure.
Terrans? And they recognized that the universes were splitting further and further apart, and they were trying to create some kind of like a permanent breach or wormhole, like a bridge between the two universes.
Oh my God. You know what? Because if they did, what if that'll bring back to what Kovic said, that the universes have been drifting apart all this time. But what if he's wrong? And what if the burn is like what you were saying, like it's trying to bring those universes back closer together, and that's affecting Georgiou? It's not anything that Kovic did. It's just that now that she's in this time period, it's starting to slowly affect her.
Huh. We might be onto something here.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool if they brought back the Terrans and did that. That would be pretty amazing. What if the Terrans are trying to do this as a way to invade this universe and just take over another universe?
That could be interesting too, because we don't.
Because in Deep Space Nine, we did see that the Empire did fall.
Right. The Empire. The Empire fell. The other Cisco.
Right.
And
died.
And they all did a bunch. They all kind of were trying to make things better over there.
But yeah, if it was just Terrans, if it was just the alternate mirror humans, and they were trying to like get revenge on our universe, that'd be pretty dope. Actually, I
would be perfectly fine with that.
And that would tie all the way back into the first season and kind of bring things full circle for Discovery.
Yeah.
See, I know it's probably a long shot, and I know this is like far out, and I know it probably wouldn't happen, but I think it'd be kind of cool if it was the Traveler and Wesley, and like Wesley had gotten to the point where he's just like, do you know what? Fuck you all. Phases in and out, the lithium crystal and stuff. Like, I think that would be.
Peace out. I'm out.
You ain't going to warp? No problems. Just walks, teleports out.
Is that why they have Will Wheaton hosting the Ready Room?
Oh, that would be so funny.
Him back.
It's like he's sitting on it, and every single week he's like, "So what are your theories?" Well, I think this. Yeah, that's really interesting. And then last thing, boom, Wesley walks into the room. It's me.
That would be so funny, especially after what they did in season 1 with Vogue.
Yeah.
Because they completely kind of like, well, they tried to pull the wool over everyone's eyes with giving him a different name in the credits, and trying to make us believe that the guy who was playing Ash and the guy who was playing Vogue was a completely different guy.
Hey, it worked for a while. People were like really questioning, like, is it?
What did you guys think of Rin?
Oh, I really liked his character, especially the possibility of him being a recurring character.
Yeah.
They mentioned that, but I was just checking out the actor's profile, and in his kind of like resume or whatever, he does say he's recurring for Star Trek Discovery.
Interesting.
And we did actually see him in one of the trailers when Detmer is piloting Book's ship. At some point, Detmer is going to be piloting Book's ship, and you see him, Rin, in the background holding Grudge. And now it makes sense. Like, if he partners up with Book, we could still see more of Rin. And hey, I'm all for more Andorian main characters in Star Trek. My favorite species.
I really like the new look for the Andorians.
Yeah,
they like their upgrade in Enterprise was really cool, and now their upgrade here just looks like spot on. I still want to know what the Klingons in this time period are going to look like, though.
I just want to know what the hell the Klingons are up to. We saw like a badge, one of the Klingon badges in that like old bucket of badges that they were kind of playing around with for a brief second. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that.
I mean, it'll be.
Did you?
I don't even know if we'll actually see them in the season. We might not.
I don't know.
One thing like I quite liked in that scene was when they found the dolphin phaser.
Yes,
I was just
the
like,
24th century phaser. Yep.
I was just like, oh, thank you, Voyager stroke Next Generation, like all the films. I was like, that's what I like. And then I kind of thought like Federation aren't really meant to give away their technology, but I just love the fact that they was like, yeah, it's just no one wants this. And I was like, oh, beautiful. These are the things I love in this.
The fact that they mentioned self-sealing stem bolts, which was a staple in Deep Space Nine, that was perfect. That was a great line.
It's all of those kind of nods that like obviously I enjoy like the story overall and all the, but like all these just like little Easter eggs and things that they mentioned that I'm like, oh, I know where that came from. Like that, all of that is just always super fun to me.
What did you think about the book ship getting some action in this episode? I loved when it like reformed mid-air and then started like blasting back at everyone.
That's something that I'm really interested to see too, is now with this programmable matter, like obviously we were talking about this earlier with the detached nacelles and everything else that it can do. These ships that can change, that can just like completely change shape, is going to be really interesting to see how much they like really dig into that. Like, are we going like you were talking about this off screen, but you were talking about like Thanos like fighting the Power Rangers, but like are we going to see more ships that can like completely change their configuration into different things? Because like it almost reminded me a little of what was that Disney movie? The Flight of the Navigator, where the ship it didn't like completely reconfigure itself, but when it was going,
it just like smoothed out.
When it was moving to a higher speed, you could see everything kind of like smoothing out and elongating and getting more aerodynamic. And then when it was just like staying still, it was more in that like normal flying saucer type state.
That's why I hope the next episode really dives into like an action scene for Discovery. I want to see what these new upgrades can do. I want to see the new ship in action.
Yeah, absolutely. These new little robots that they have out there fixing everything. That I'm excited. Well, next week's episode is Unification 3. And we saw it in the trailer for it, or the coming up next week on thing that we saw the Vulcans and we saw Romulans. At least I think it was both Vulcans and Romulans, because we saw we saw child Burnham in that, so we know there's going to be some kind of a flashback to her childhood again. So I'm really interested to see what the actual overall storyline for this one is, because there's no synopsis up yet.
I can't wait for this. Just the fact that they called it Unification 3 is just such a great nod to the Next Generation and that whole storyline that Spock set into motion. And I'm telling you, if they name drop Spock as the one who started this all, I may tear up a bit. I mean, it's Spock, but I would love to see him get some recognition.
Well, yeah, and especially with,
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Because Burnham will find out Spock's future history. Right. Oh, man, that's going to be a great episode.
I'm assuming...
I just realized the implications.
I'm assuming that's where the flashback to her childhood comes in. Is that they're like someone's going to mention something about Spock and it's going to trigger a memory that she's like, wait a second.
I would love it if, she actually looks into Spock, like if there's history records for him and we see a picture of Leonard Nimoy in the hologram or whatever. I would love, what a complete arc that would be.
A clip from one of the movies, or
like an archive.
Yeah, because we saw that last season. They did that with the episode where we went back to Talos 4. We got the episodes from the Cage with the original Pike and all those guys, and then we fast forwarded to the new cast. So it would be, I'd love to see them do that kind of thing, just like going forward. Like I would love to see them somehow integrate clips from the original series or even from Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, like talking about the Prophets maybe and seeing the wormhole open.
Well, hey, we got a Bajoran in this episode.
Well, and they were talking.
He went all. They went full Running Man and like blew off his head.
Yeah, that was a shame. Yeah, man, yeah. So, what? Anything else from this episode that kind of stood out to you, or quite like things that made you question other things that are happening?
That's all. I didn't really care. I kind of saw the three type of like storylines from what I can remember. But I generally thought that this one was all about mainly Burnham that stood out. I kind of hope, because they've only been to Trill, but the other planets have just been like crap holes, and that's it. And I can see that they don't. But I'd love it if they went to a really nice planet for once, where it's not like, oh, we've got cowboys on the go. Yeah, go back to Earth properly. Well, yeah, you only saw the tree, and that was it.
Kaminar, maybe.
Was it a nice planet? I just remember literally the first episode where the Book and Michael, and then that's it. And then the rest of it's just been cowboys and Indians. And I'm just like, what? Why do we need cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, not everything is doom and gloom in the Federation. I would love to see them go to maybe a couple more peaceful planets. Yeah, just something a little bit different than dirty trenches and rocks all everywhere.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't know what the rest of Earth looks like. So Illinois, yeah, we have to see that at some point.
I want my floating Illinois.
Vulcan, we're going to see. Maybe
now, do you think next week's episode takes place on Vulcan?
I don't know. I would imagine it's either going to be Vulcan or New Romulus.
Oh, like from Picard. Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously we're not going to see old Romulus because that's long gone by now.
Yeah.
Unless we get like another twist and Romulus does still exist and we find out that we're in like this isn't either the Prime timeline or the Kelvin timeline. This is completely different. Oh god, people would like have aneurysms if that happens.
So are you guys cat people or no? Yes or no? Let's talk about Grudge.
He's the mastermind. Grudge is it. He's the one who did the burn. Push that thing right off the table.
I'm not against cats in theory, but I'm not like I would never have a cat as a pet on my own.
Right.
Dogs.
It's cute. I love Star Trek animals in Star Trek.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have a history of cats. David had
Spot.
Archer had the dog. So like it's kind of it's nice to see someone have a pet again.
I just thought the scene with Tilly was hilarious, and she's like, "I'm not really a cat person," and then at the end of that, she's like, "I don't like you."
I do like that Grudge is how she figured out that Burnham wasn't around though.
Yeah.
And simultaneously that Grudge was how Burnham found Book with the collar, which is basically just like one of those like Bluetooth tile things.
Right.
I'm trying to think, like, going through the rest of this episode, I don't think there was really anything major that stood out to me outside of whatever's going on with Georgiou. The Burnham storyline, hopefully not regressing to where it was in season 1.
Yeah.
What happened with the burn? Like, we did get some movement on that.
I'm sure in the episode, because Book doesn't he turn around and say, "Oh, I sent you one of these one of these data files, but it was in a ball in my room, but it was on my ship. And then they've got another one, and I was like,
no, because he was talking about his room as a prisoner, like his bunk.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
In his bunk, yeah. Well, I saw that the preview clip that they always do in the ready room for next week's, like the extended clip, was Burnham and Tilly using the 3 black boxes to start to triangulate where the burn takes place. So it seems like they're progressing pretty steadily on that mystery, which is good.
Interesting. Let's see. I think I just pulled that clip up. Here we see. This is moving really slow. I'm gonna turn that off.
I have yet to see this clip.
Go.
So.
So yeah, there's Vulcan. Burnham picked up some sort of a weapon. It looked like.
I'm hoping it's one of those, like from Amok Time, like the big staff or whatever. But no, I'm really excited for seeing Vulcans and Romulans, to see that whole progression of that storyline. And, it sucks for Spock that, it took the Romulans and Vulcans like 600 more years to come together.
Right.
But, at least they're hopefully finally coming together. That would be a really cool way to tie it in with the past series.
Right. Or, I mean, we can also find out that they've been together, maybe?
That they've been together, because it almost seems like she's solving a dispute.
Right.
So maybe they have been united, but now there's a problem that only the Discovery can solve.
Right. Well, yeah. Man, God, reading some of these kind of comments online from people, like,
don't do it.
No, like there were people complaining in last week's episode that of course Burnham had to be the one to talk to the Bensonite guy who and convince him that no, you're not going to be able to bring everyone back. And people being like, well, why is she doing it? I'm like, well, she's the main character of the show.
Yeah.
That
she's also the first officer, and this was her mission.
Yeah. And that's like complaining that Discovery is the only ship that seems to save the day all the time. Because
it's like, okay, like the Enterprise.
Yeah.
That's like turning around. That's like turning around saying an anime protagonist has really weak hair. That's literally it.
Well, it's like in all the Star Trek movies. Oh, we're the only ship in the sector. Like, bullshit! You're the only ship.
Go figure. People are weird. Well, I don't know. So what are your guys' ratings for this episode here? I'm actually kind of curious what your overall thoughts.
I think overall, I like the story. I like seeing another side of Book, because he was in this situation and he was trying to rally everyone together. And it seemed like he's a really good people person, especially connecting with Rin in this episode. And it was nice to see more of like a lighthearted, good-natured side of him. And for that, I really enjoyed the episode. But all the points that you guys bring up, Michael Burnham and everything going on, it's kind of like a 3.5 for me.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 3, because a 3 and 3 cat whiskers. Each week I will think of something different.
Josh doesn't have the graphic for that.
Well, we just say it.
Yeah, like... I mean, I can. You just have to make it for me.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious. Like just 3 out of 5 grudges.
Yeah. I like the episode. But I think what really let it down was just Michael all the way through, where I hated that whole, it doesn't, if it's important to me, screw the rules. But yeah, if it's important to everyone else, I don't care. I generally really hate that. But I love the fact that she literally got demoted, because it was like, your repercussions, even though the Admiral liked what was going on, you massively messed up and you went against me. So therefore, I'm demoting you. And Tilly next week's going to be my first officer, because stick it to you.
Well, going back to like the conversation between Michael and Saru, something that we really didn't touch upon, but he made a good point. Like, he thought in their relationship they were progressing beyond that, and it was rushing that his disappointment in her.
Yeah.
And she didn't fight it. She was like, "Yeah, I'm wrong. I accept that." And her telling him you did the right thing, I thought was pretty powerful.
Yeah. I agree. For me, I think I'm gonna go with Eric. It's going to be a 3.5 or 3.5. Really quick though, I do want to say hi to Thomas. Thomas Franco is in the chat. I don't know. Are you a Star Trek guy, Thomas? I don't remember if you've chimed in on the stories before or not. Overall I enjoyed the entire episode, but I think Michael kind of regressing to that point did stick a little bit for me. I would have liked to have seen her maybe convince Saru to go and talk to the Admiral, so that could have been like her bridging, like instead of her breaking down the relationship, more helping to build it up and build that trust.
Well, that was a good point of the episode, was that even Saru knows that he messed up. He didn't go to the Admiral, so he's still learning how to be a captain. So
right.
I like both sides of that.
Yeah, like I think the way they handled it at the end was good. I just don't
know
the beginning,
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know that it was necessary, because it could have been handled in a couple of different ways. Instead of her going off, like maybe she could have gone over his head and gone directly to the Admiral himself. And been
that could have been a way to do it.
Saru doesn't want to do this, but I think this is really important, so I'd like to get your permission to do that. Because then you could have still had the break in their trust, but it would have been,
she superseded him,
right,
in that case. Yeah.
But at the same time, it wouldn't have been a failing of her character like it is with her just completely disobeying orders.
Yeah, it would have been more of like just her personal frustrations with Saru, not,
right.
Well, screw your orders.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, at that point, the ending could have been more or less the same with her and Saru. Maybe like they wouldn't have had to bring the Admiral into it, because he would have been in from the beginning.
But he could have still demoted her. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If she had said, if he had said no and she had still gone off, then yeah, like it's Saru could have still demoted her, been like, listen, you went over me, and I can't have that kind of break in the structure here. I think it ended well. It didn't start off as solid as I thought it could. But everything else I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed again Stamets and Adira. I'm still not sure how I feel about Gray. He still just, like, to me, he just kind of comes off as that friend that you have that's like happy all the time. Like it's just like it's not a bad thing. It's just like it's just I want to learn more about who he is, instead of just seeing him kind of like randomly pop up as like a conscious on Adira's shoulder.
Yeah, they're really going to have to expand on that pretty soon, and I think we're going to have more of a deep dive into his character, because we got a little taste of it, like the moment that he died. We know the moment that transpired between them, but I would like to see, where did that relationship come from? Where did that start? Because they were both really young when that happened.
Right.
It probably happened a year or year and a half before. So, they're in their early teens, And I think Discovery has like a unique opportunity to maybe connect to a younger audience too with that kind of storytelling. And that's why I find it so hilarious that Stamets keeps calling her a tween. Like, why am I dealing with tween problems? It's hilarious.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I'm still holding out for the fact that it's that Next Generation, where that alien took the form of a little girl and went to the Arboretum. I am hoping that that's the whole thing with Grey. It's just like, oh, where did you come from? Well, I was alive like 900 odd years ago, and I went to the Arboretum, and this horrible girl was mean to me. I would love it if they tied it into that. I'd just be like, do you know what? Kudos. It will never happen, but I hope it does.
or the graviton waves or whatever it was that they hit in the wormhole coming through was him.
Yes, or completely out of there, which will never happen 100%, right? It's when they go like, who are you? And it just goes, it was Neelix all along. And I'm like, oh, no.
One little kind of Easter egg that I liked was when Admiral Vance mentions that one of the ships is getting a baryon sweep. And that was that whole plot of that Next Generation episode where we see the baryon sweep happen.
And that was Tuvok was in that episode too.
Yeah,
that's right.
He wasn't Tuvok in that episode, but yeah, Tim Russ. Well, he was one of the
and Picard killed him,
right?
Yeah.
It was still it was the plasma out of the warp engines or something, so they could make
something
biological weapons. And then Picard had to become a barber and hit him with a saddle.
Like, they always came up with like such ridiculous reasons for things to happen on that show. Oh, well, Picard's getting stuck behind because he went back to his room to get a saddle because he had to have that specific saddle because he didn't want to go to the meeting or ceremony or whatever it was down on the planet. He's like, oh, I can get out of this.
I'll just go get my saddle.
Hey, it's a good saddle. Come on.
I guess so. It must not have been made in a replicator.
Exactly.
Oh man. Okay, so we already know that what we're looking forward to next week, but once again, that episode is Unification Part 3, Episode 7, and we have in total, was it 6 episodes left?
Oh, this is going to be painful.
Let me pull this back up here one more time. I accidentally closed the window that I was in.
Yeah, we there's 13 episodes this season. So yeah, we've got 7 more.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's not going to go into hiatus for like 2-3 weeks.
No,
it's straight through.
It's straight through. So the last episode is actually January 7th.
Okay, not too bad.
But then we go on to a break until I don't know what we're going to get after this because Prodigy probably isn't going to be ready for a while. Picard season 2 hasn't even started shooting yet. So maybe
but they are filming they are starting to film season 4 of Discovery.
I think so. And Strange New Worlds should be going into production soon.
I hope.
And for anyone who might stumble upon this, I've actually got some news about Star Trek Strange New Worlds that should be hitting our website next week.
Hello.
And
I can't wait. That's the one I am most anticipating because I love Anson Mount's portrayal of Captain Pike. I love the crew. It's the original Enterprise. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And it's because of the fans. The fans had such a demand. Like, we want a Pike series, and it's happening. And I'm so excited for that.
I'm excited because it's like a legit exploration show too.
Yes.
Because like I was saying in the beginning of this episode, that's the kind of stuff that I'm really like. I enjoy all this other stuff too, but like that's to me that's like the heart of Star Trek is exploring strange new worlds and new cultures. And we even got Vance who said we don't have any 5-year missions anymore. So I feel like that's going to be like one of those fun like Alien of the Week type shows where hopefully we'll get like more of an overarching storyline as well. But
hey, you know what? Hopefully it lasts 5 seasons.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
I mean, with the way Discovery is going,
Yeah.
I don't think we really have a lot to worry about with that, unless people just absolutely hate it for some reason.
Season 4, boys. Season 4.
What, 6 seasons in a movie?
Right. But no, I think I'm really digging this season so far. Like I think they're acclimating to the new century well, and they're doing things I wasn't expecting to happen. Like, I mean, they found the Federation in like episode, 4.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
we went to Earth in 3. So things are moving faster than I thought they would, but I'm happy for it. Like, to see the upgrades of Discovery happen like at the beginning of this episode in kind of a montage, that's pretty cool. So get all the boring stuff out of the way and show us the new ship in action.
Yeah, well, this season, like, did you guys watch The Good Place?
Yes.
No.
So the Good Place, I felt like that show. I'm not going to spoil any of it for you since you haven't seen it. I would recommend. I would really recommend watching it though, because it was it's fun
amazing.
show. It was a really good show. They moved through story in that show like nobody's business. There was no filler, there was no room for anything other than the story that they were trying to tell you, and it worked really well. So like you would go from one week to the next and it would just be like chewing through the storyline, and I feel like that's kind of what we're getting here, is just a really tight, well put together story.
Absolutely.
Which I think was something that was lacking from season 1. I liked season 1. I thought it was one of the better first seasons that of a Star Trek series, but I do understand the complaints that a lot of people had with it.
Yeah.
And then season 2 got us further along in that. And season 2 I thought was really like it was leaps and bounds better than the first season. And this season so far is at least as good as season 2 was, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
See, for me, this is what, from a Star Trek story, is I wanted this like for years. Like I wanted something set in the future, and I always have a thing where it's like, oh, we're going back to the Kirk days, the Pike days, the Archer days. It infuriates me because it's like I don't want to relive the past. I want to see what Star Trek has for the future. And I think now when they've gone like, here's the Federation, here's the programmable matter thing. Here's the Voyager J. That's what I've wanted to see. So for me, I'm enjoying Discovery a lot more than like I have done in the past. So like if this was done now, I'd be like, oh, I'd be okay with it. But in some sort of way, I'm kind of glad they built up like these characters so you know who they are, rather than being like, meh, I don't know, I don't care about Tilly doesn't like no cats.
I just moved our background. That was weird.
Yeah. That's what Tilly's cat does.
Yeah, that's why I hate cats. So are you looking? Are you going to watch the Pike series? Like, is that something that you're not interested in since it's going back to the past?
I'll give it a watch because I want to see how, because they're gonna have to talk about Discovery. So I'm guessing it's going to be how they do like a few episodes of a new series. Like they'll talk about Discovery for the first 3 episodes, drinking game, and then they'll never speak of it again. And I want to see how it kind of works. And then if it's going to be bad, I'll just be like, okay, cool. And then I'll just wait for, was it the Janeway one? And see how Prodigy. Is it animated or is it?
It's animated.
Yeah. But it's from the same animation studio that does Troll Hunters on Netflix. So it's not like the Lower Deck style animation. It's more of that 3D, like Pixar style.
See, as much as I'm not a fan of Lower Decks, I really did like the animation style. So I'd have been more happy with that.
You're not a fan of Troll Hunters?
I've never seen it, but when someone says 3D, I just go, oh, it's not going to work well, I don't think. I prefer animation than thing, but I'll have a look at Troll Hunters. But dear God, if it's bad, I'll go like...
If you do watch Troll Hunters, just make sure that you're watching the first series, because there's like 4 different Troll Hunter shows that are on now. I made the mistake of watching whatever the latest one was, and almost like Star Trek with like characters that jump from one series to the next series, and they're talking about stuff. I'm like, I have no idea who these people are. Like, am I supposed to understand what like the history between these characters are? And then one of my friends was like, That's like the third series in this show. All right.
I'm just really excited that Janeway's back. That's
Yeah.
Kate Mulgrew, awesome.
But that means that you might have to deal with Neelix.
No, he's on New Talix.
I fucking hate him. I hate him so much. Oh.
Out of all the other random things in Star Trek, I also want to know what's up with the Q continuum. Because last we saw the Q continuum in Voyager, they had just gone through a civil war. Q and Lady Q had a baby, and they were trying to change the way the Q continuum functioned.
For years, I thought that the actor that they got to play young Q was Ziggy from Power Rangers. I was so adamant it was. I was just like, it's him. It's him. And I was like, oh, and then I looked him up. I was like, oh, that's destroyed my childhood right there.
I guess I think that kind of takes us through the entire episode. We've touched on a lot of stuff. Is there outside of Star Trek stuff? Is there anything else that you're watching right now that you would recommend to other people to tune into?
Actually, because of The Mandalorian and everything that's been going on there, I've actually never watched the Clone Wars animated series.
I haven't either.
And I've heard so many good things about it. So apparently Disney or StarWars.com had an article about the actual airing order that you should watch it in. Because apparently even episodes in different seasons are in different parts of the timeline. So StarWars.com was like, here's the official watching order. And I was like, okay. And so I started doing that, and it's really good.
Is it just the new Star Wars Clone Wars stuff, or does it go back all the way back to the Genndy Tartakovsky series too? Because that's not canon anymore, is it?
No, that's not. So it's just that 7 seasons animated. But no, it's great because I actually I rewatched Attack of the Clones to kind of get into the timeline. It's horrible, right. But no, I actually like what Clone Wars is doing, and I'm so far behind in that series. Obviously, it's been out for years, but I don't know. Mandalorian's got me into this. I need to know what happens. I need more of the whole universe, and Mandalorian is just so great.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It is. I haven't seen today's episode yet. I was going to watch it last night, but I ended up falling asleep before I got there. But yeah, this whole season so far has been really good. What about you, Airlim? Anything that you've been watching?
Not really. I've been the only thing I've been watching anime a bit more, Darling in the Franxx, which is a bit weird, but it's kind of I can't even explain the story. It's that weird where it's about a group of kids that pilot giant mechs, but they have to be in sync with each other, and it's like male, female, and then they pilot.
So it's like a Pacific Rim, like
kind
the
of
drifting type thing.
Yeah, kind of, but rather than being stood next to each other, it's a whole thing of riding. that's literally it. And then there's one person that if she pilots with anyone, they get killed because she's a demon or something. And I'm just like, oh, and then the whole world's been wiped out. So no one knows anything about basic biology as well. And they're like, what's a baby? What is kissing? And I'm like, oh God. Okay. So yeah, that's the only thing I'm watching at the moment.
I started watching the new, or well, not really the new season, but the back half of the most recent season of Sword Art Online just got the English dubs.
I need to watch that.
So I think there's two episodes out now since I think Ray of Light was the last one. And now the second half of the season is starting to air. And Monday night, the new season of His Dark Materials started up again.
Cool.
So I started watching that, and that's the girl from Logan, Daphne Keane, is the main character in that show, and she's really good. And the series so far, it's enjoyable. I don't know I can't say I like it as much as necessarily The Mandalorian or Star Trek, but it's a if you're craving like sci-fi content or like sci-fi fantasy type content, it's something to watch.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's it. Anything to plug? Do you have a new episode of Ranger Command Power Hour?
Yeah, we actually have a new episode coming out tomorrow on Saturday. We're talking about favorite Blue Rangers and Blue Ranger focused episodes, and kind of get a little bit into the news and stuff.
Nice. Airlim?
I have nothing at the moment. I'm writing a few things at the moment, but not actually got any videos planned apart from Final Fantasy VII.
Man, I found Xbox on Game Pass. Microsoft Studios released updated like remastered versions of Day of the Tentacle and Full Throttle. So I started playing Day of the Tentacle last week, and that game is so much fun. Like I completely forgot how much fun like those old school like point and click adventures were.
You reminded me last weekend. I played and completed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah, I think that's on Game Pass now, right?
It's on Game Pass, and I was in such a Mando mood.
Yeah,
I was like, "Hey, it's on Game Pass. It's a Star Wars game. I heard great things about this." I spent literally the entirety of last weekend playing that game, and I 100% completed achievements, everything.
Oh wow,
it's a great story. Yeah.
Are you guys planning on getting the Series X or the PS5?
Whenever I can get one, sure.
I've been so aggravated this week. Like I had one in my cart at Walmart, and the site just kept crashing every time I got to the checkout. And on the product page, I could see it going 4 units left, 3 units left, 2 units left. I'm just like waiting for that stupid like circle to go. I'm like, just do it, and it just would not do it. I just kept getting an error message. I was so aggravated. I know more are going to be in stock next week because I'm getting both the PS5 and the Series X because I want the Miles Morales game. Like I'm gonna spend the $60 to get the original Spider-Man game and the new one, and the Series X. I'm already like well in the Microsoft Xbox ecosystem. So I feel like I just have to get that just so I have the newest version of it. And I want to play the new version of Cyberpunk when that comes out. I don't want to play that next gen graphics. I want the new thing for that. So
well, I'll take my next gen graphics and I'll love them.
All right. Well, I think that will do it for us. You can tune back into the Illuminerdi on Saturday for the Ranger wrap up at noon. The Retro Ranger wrap up at 1:15. We'll be talking about episodes 28 and 29 of Lost Galaxy, and then we only have 15 left before the end of that series. So that what's next? What's after Lost Galaxy? I don't even know.
Lightspeed.
Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Will I like it or am I gonna hate it?
I think you'll like it. Hey, it's got America's first uniquely created Ranger, so.
Oh, that's right. Oh, Mikey Nerd Talk is here in the chat. He's finishing season 2 of Discovery tonight, and he's playing Star Trek Online. Mikey, I will be in touch once we figure out what we're doing with Star Trek Online. Whether we're all just going to start new characters or try and pick up some pieces with existing characters. As again, from my memory, Airlim, you have your character on the PC and not the Xbox, right? I've got my character on the Xbox and not on the
Mine's
PC.
on the Xbox. Yep.
Guess I'll be playing
so
on
Mikey, let us know whether you're on Xbox or PC, and we'll figure that out. But again, we'll be back tomorrow with the 2 Ranger shows, Sunday with the Illuminerdi Wrestling Order, and next Friday with Unification Part 3 on the Riker Maneuver. And last words?
Live long and prosper.
God damn Neelix.
Oh no.
Neelix!